Hey guys, Captain here. Now a long time ago, in one of my LEGO Pokemon videos, I designed Kyogre. And recently when Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire launched, I started working on Groudon. I didn't finish the design until more recently because I got sidetracked. But it's been a work in progress. I did very, very little work on Groudon at some point earlier in time. I had planned on making it for a long time. And then I got motivated again once the new Pokemon games released. And unfortunately, they're not the greatest scale to each other. Not unreasonable scale. Although it's tempting to rebuild Kyogre, or at least extend it a bit. Can make these fins bigger and can make the whole body longer. I think the head is just fine. I think the ends of the fins are just fine. But regardless, I'm sure you guys want to see how to build it. So let's get on with that. The legs are mirrored versions of each other, so I'm only going to build one. I think it should be pretty easy to figure out how to build the other. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a 1x2 plate in red. You're going to take 3 1x1 white claw pieces, plates that is, and you're going to stack them on top of each other. And you're going to place them sideways on the red plate. And then next to it, you're going to place a red headlight. And on top of all that, you're going to place a 1x3 red tile. Now what you want to do is take another 1x2 red plate and stick 2 1x1 plates with the claw, vertically oriented claw. I think on Bricklink they actually call this a horizontal claw. I've kind of been calling it the opposite the whole time, so I'm going to stick with my naming convention. But I think you can visually tell what this is. So, you're also going to stick a pneumatic T-bar onto those claws. Now what you want to do, line it up with what we have. And in the back, you're going to stick a 1x2 red plate. And attach that on from the back. And in the front, you're going to stick a 1x2 black grill. And this constitutes a bunch of the design of Groudon's like black lines on his body. And again, make another one mirrored, and that's going to be his other leg. Alright, for the next step, we're going to start with a 4x6 light gray plate. And we're going to stick 2 of these hinge bricks onto the back. It doesn't actually matter which end they are because obviously they're going to be complemented with the other end. And now what we want to do is we want to take a black headlight and stick a little fang in there and try and twist the fang so it's pointing upwards. There we go. And we want to do that 6 times. And we also want to take a 1x1 plate in light gray, black, and red respectively, and stack them in that order. And we want to do that 4 times. And what we're going to do is we're going to place the headlights and these little stacks of colored plates in alternating order along the sides. And once we get to the end, we're going to create 2 of these. What this is a hinge brick with a black base and a red top. Hopefully the camera will focus nicely on that. And then take some red blades and just stick the ends in there. And try and orient them all the same way so it looks nice. And then we're going to stick both of these onto the back of our 4x6 plate. On top of that, in the very front, we're going to place a 1x4 red plate, and then next to that, a 4x4 red plate. You can mix and match combinations, do some 2x3s and a 2x4, or whatever floats your boat. As long as it sturdily covers this. This is like the easiest way to do it, is a 1x4 and a 4x4. And then we're going to just tilt these slightly upwards, and that's how they're going to stay for Groudon's tail. The next segment of Groudon's body is just as easy to make. Again, we're going to start with a 4x6 light gray plate, and we're going to place more of these hinge bricks on the very bottom. And here, one stud in, we're going to want to place complementary hinge bricks to the previous segment that we just made. And along this, right next to those, we're going to place light gray headlights. And next to that, more of those black headlights with fangs in them, alternated with our little stacks of tiles, or plates rather, like such. And then on top of all of that, we're going to place a 4x6 red plate, staggered a bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick the legs in here now into the light gray headlights. And then we're going to stick on the other segment of Groudon's body. And we're going to bend it upwards 2 ticks. And we'll adjust legs accordingly. We will adjust a little more later for good stacking. Next, we're going to build the arms, which again are symmetrical and are designed with very similar principles to the legs. What we're going to do is take a 1x4 red plate, and we're going to stick 4 1x1 white plates with the claw at the end, facing downwards. Next to that, we're going to stick 2 headlights in red. On top of them, place a black grill. Then we're going to set that down for a moment, and we're going to take a 1x3 plate in red. At the ends, on both sides, bottom and top, we're going to place 1x1 red plates. And then next to those, we're going to place 1x2 black plates. And on the very top, we're also going to place some claw tiles in red, oriented like such so we can stick another pneumatic T-bar inside. And then we're going to place that at the very end of our 1x4 red plate next to our headlights. On the underside of that, to cover up the black, we're going to place another 1x1 red. And on top of all that, to hold it together, we're going to place a 1x3 red plate and then a 1x3 red tile. And create another arm just like that, mirrored. And we're done. Finally, we're going to build the last body segment. We're going to start with a 4x4 light gray plate. And at the top, we're going to place complementary hinge bricks to what we were using in the previous segment. And next to that, we're going to place a 2x2 hinge brick with just one hinge. Is going to be important. And for this, we want this kind of hinge, the female connector, because that'll be very important for how we build the head. Now next to our 2 1x2 hinge bricks, place 2, you can use red headlights if you like. You can also use red 1x1 bricks with a stud on one side. It doesn't make a huge difference, but I feel like the arms are a little easier to maneuver with the 1x1 bricks. And next to those, place, same thing as the headlights we built before, but this time they're going to be red rather than black, with fangs in them. At the very back, place a 1x4 red plate, and covering everything up, a 4x4 red plate. And we're going to attach this to our previous body segment. Move it down 2 ticks, and we're also going to attach the arms. And the goal with the arms is that because Groudon is quite long, he's a bit top heavy, or front heavy I suppose. So we can actually angle him in a way so that the arms basically touch the ground. And he'll be reasonably flat and stable. You can toy with this to probably get a slightly straighter angle if you really try with the legs and the arms. But this is good enough for now. Finally, we're going to build the head. We can do this in 2 pieces, which come together at the very end. Take a 1x4 light gray plate and a 1x3 light gray plate and stack them on top of each other. And on the overhanging end, take 1x1 bricks with a stud on one side in gray and white, and place them here. The white's supposed to represent Groudon's teeth. Not the greatest, but I think it gets the idea across. And then stick 1x2 light gray plates on each side. And then at the very end, stick 1x1 red plates. And we can set this piece down for a moment. Next, what we're going to want to do is we'll take a red wedge, 2x4 wedge, and stick a 1x4 plate on it in red, and then another wedge. And then on top of that, we're going to stick a 1x2 plate in red, and a 2x2 plate also in red. And then underneath the 2x2 plate, we're going to stick a black hinge brick, but a horizontal one, so that it'll stick into our segment of our body when the head is oriented vertically, or I guess on its side, with studs facing sideways. On top of this, we're going to place yet another red wedge, and behind it, holding the hinge brick in place, we're going to put another 2x2 red plate, and another 1x2 red plate, and then one last wedge. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hold the little piece we made earlier in place, and depending on which side you're on determines if you're using a plate or a jumper. But on the side with the studs up, place a black jumper plate and a 1x3 plate downwards, and then a yellow stud with the hole in the middle. This is probably, besides maybe the blades, this may have been the most expensive and hardest to find piece, and it still wasn't that difficult to find. I think I still got it really cheaply. The reason you're going to need the one with the hole in it because of how I designed the back. You do the same idea, but you stick a plate in here, and then in the little small column within that plate, you're going to put the stud with the hole, and that column fits in the hole, so you've got an eye on each side. And then we're going to attach our head, and I like to tilt it one tick downwards, maybe even two, but I think one looks good. Align our tail properly, and there we go. We've completed Groudon. Now it is really long. I was considering making the tail shorter, even making the body shorter. You could do that. You'd have to sacrifice some of the design, and I think maybe that might be worth sacrificing these little columns just to make the tail shorter. I may or may not make a change with that at some point. I also may or may not redesign Kyogre at some point. I like to have my Pokemon be generally in scale somehow. I think Kyogre is smaller scale than a lot of the other Pokemon I've built. So there's a possibility you'll see a revamp to him sometime. But don't count on it. Anyway, with that, I hope you enjoyed the building of Groudon. If you did, please rate, comment, subscribe, send this to your friends, check out my other videos, and I will see you guys next time.